Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy hashtag cold beers. This is the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And look, I didn't point at you this time. This was the episode from last night, and we're going to review it the best we can. We've had one cup of coffee, so this should be entertaining.
So I thought the last one was the best episode of the season, and now I think this one's the best episode of the season.
This is good. Now they're into the flow. I think they had to do a couple of kind of setup episodes that make sense, and then there's that whole emoji one, which I'm not really sure what was going on there. So what do you think? Do you think that this is the beginning of the end?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. It's the beginning of the end.
Yes.
Sad.
I took a ton of notes. Most of them I kind of figure out later really didn't mean anything. Again, with the Doctor Who episode where everything is kind of going one direction, and this is the plot line, and then something happens, and you realize that it was never about that. And again, a misdirection episode. So I have a whole bunch of notes, and we'll go through them. They may mean something, they may not, or whatever. The episode begins with previously on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Which they haven't done this season. They've had a continuous kind of story arc until the last one, where it was this episode begins essentially where the last one ended in the timeline, except for the last one, and then they space the final frontier.
Yeah.
But this one started with the previously on Doctor Who to kind of give you a reference point of where we are in the story, and I think that's again an example of the whole. This is the beginning of the end. The story arc seems to make more sense now, that kind of thing. So I thought it was a big deal. And then they had Missy shows up. She's a prisoner on a planet, and they're going to execute her, but she you can only be executed as somebody of your own race. So the Doctor was there
because there's only two of them.
There's only two of them, and so the Doctor was there to execute her, and that is like this whole story arc, one story arc for the entire episode.
Yes.
Did you think they were talking about the Doctor when they were talking about the execution?
Well, yeah, in the beginning. Yeah, you're like, well, they must be talking about the Doctor because there aren't any other Time Lords, and then you're like, oh, yeah, there's Missy.
Hi, Missy, we missed you. A lot of the episode is back and forth through time, so not like timey-wimey and shit, but more like here's what happened before, here's what's happening now, kind of back and forth storytelling.
Yeah, and they don't have anything to do with each other, presumably, right? So you're going back to Missy's execution, and then you're going forward to the story that's going on with the Pope.
Right.
And they don't seem to have anything to do with each other until the very end.
Which is complicated. But in the opening, before the credits, there's a scene where the Doctor, who is now blind, spoilers if you don't know, is standing and leaning against the vault. And we've all been wondering who's been in the vault. And I thought for a hot minute last week that the next Doctor was in the vault.
Or River, or Missy,
or the Master. But the Doctor's leaning against the vault, and he finally says, "Missy, I need your help." And so Missy's in the vault. The Doctor's wearing the sonic sunglasses as kind of like radar. He can't see, but it's giving him information about who's standing in front of him, their age, their sex, their height, that kind of thing, and gives him a general idea. Although if he can't see, why was there a display for him to see?
I think it feeds directly into his brain.
Okay. The Pope is in this episode. Actually, one of the funnier scenes is Bill has a date with a girl and brings her home, and they're sitting around having tea because it's very English, and they're talking, and the TARDIS sound is going off in the bedroom, and Bill's date's like, "What is that?" And she's like, "It's the pipes and I gotta go do a lot of streaming at the pipes. Don't think it's weird. And then the door opens, and the Pope walks out of Bill's bedroom. Time.
Needless to say, her date leaves.
Your date left, yeah.
If you didn't have a bunch of gay guilt when you walked into the room, you do now.
Right, and they kind of set it up. She was like, I'm not really sure about this, and Bill's like, it's okay, kind of touched her leg, like, it's gonna be okay, and then the Pope shows up, and nobody's getting laid. And then they go back to the execution of Missy, and somebody in a robe is standing behind the doctor, and the executioner guy kind of gives them the okay for the doctor to go talk to him, and he walks over, and he's reading from this book, and he looks like he's in robes and stuff or whatever. He's reading from this book, and his hood's down, and I'm trying to remember what he said, but it was very profound. And then at the end it says, "But I still love you, sweetie." And Nardell pulls the hood back and closes the book, and it's River's book. So that's a big deal. So he's kind of using the book as a
trying to rein him in
and stuff, and keep him in place, and that kind of like, that was like, oh, that's so subtle but so awesome. And then they went to commercial. Actually, this was the second commercial break, and they did a Torchwood commercial. I think it's a big deal. They're doing a Torchwood marathon on the 2nd and 3rd on BBC America. Why?
Well, there's rumors.
They better not show that Showtime one. They did. The ended so bad. Nardell points out a couple times during the episode about the doctor being blind, and why didn't you tell anybody? And the doctor's like, I don't want my enemies to know. And then Nardell's asking, why didn't you tell Bill? And doctor's like, he kind of makes it sound like he doesn't want to tell Bill because that makes it real for the doctor. But they end up in this vault in the Vatican with this book called Vartus. And if you read Vartus, you end up killing yourself. They end up reading
Veritas.
The doctor sits down to read the Veritas, and he's got this machine, and he kind of hooks it up to his head, and it gives him a momentary a moment of eyesight so he could read Veritas.
Right.
And he makes the comment of, I don't know what this is going to cost me, another generation or not. And that was kind of a big deal for me too.
Yeah.
Where he kind of makes a point. Come to find out, what is really going on in this episode is there's an alien race running a simulation of how to attack Earth, and they somehow sucked the TARDIS and the Doctor and Nardell and Bill and everybody into it. And if you read Veritas. I'll get it right. If you read Veritas, you will actually learn the secret, and that's why everybody starts killing themselves, is because they realize that they're in
a video game.
A video game, right? It's a Matrix episode.
Yeah.
This whole thing is the Matrix.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a big deal what's going on. At the end, it ends up being the doctor goes and flips the switch and executes Missy, and they go to pick her up, and she's like, leave me alone, I'm sleeping. And they start freaking out that he didn't kill her. And the doctor says, I swore to protect Missy for 1,000 years. The body of Missy. I didn't say that she had to be alive or dead.
Right.
So Missy's in the vault. We now know why she's in the vault. He's protecting her. That's why he keeps going in and spending time with her. That was kind of a big deal, that they finally kind of alluded to why they have the vault.
Yes. Yeah, and who's in the vault.
Right.
And why they're in the vault. And so now you know.
So what's going to happen next with the vault? Because she can't get out.
I don't know. And yeah, and he's even if he regenerates at the end of this episode or at the end of the season, which we know he's going to,
right?
Does that mean that he's stuck here now?
Stuck
he's
here,
gotta...
right. I have another. I kind of did a rundown. We kind of covered all of that. Missy's in the vault, and it's an alien simulation. So you have the whole one storyline with Missy in the vault. You have another storyline where it's the simulation, the alien simulation and stuff. And then you have the whole thing with the Doctor still being blind and not really talking about it. So you have three major kind of plot points going on. And oh, by the way, the Pope's in it. And Pope Benedict was a woman, and it was a whole bunch of other stuff that went on. We don't want to go on for an hour talking about this episode, but we could because it was really good. And this is two really good episodes in a row. I like where they're going and making it really interesting and fun and everything. I don't like where they're going with the end of Capaldi.
Right.
That makes me sad.
Right.
Because for as much bitching as people have made about Capaldi being a terrible doctor, he's been a great doctor.
Yeah.
He hasn't been Tennant or Smith, and it was really hard to follow Tennant and Smith to be that person.
Well, okay, so here's the deal. I have watched Doctor Who since the old Doctors.
Right.
And so I understand there's always your first Doctor. Generally, your first Doctor is your favorite Doctor, and
Eccleston.
And
sorry.
And your other Doctors are good or maybe not so good to you in your mind, but there's always your first Doctor. So the new Doctor Who generation is now realizing that, because we've only had, we had Eccleston and then and
for a hot minute.
Yeah, and Matt Smith and David Tennant. And so they pretty much, most of them, it was either Matt Smith or David Tennant.
Right.
And so now there's one that they maybe don't connect to because he's not young or whatever, and they're all like, oh, he's the worst Doctor ever. No, this is Doctor Who.
Yeah. Yeah. This is it's the same argument I make about you never skip 9. A lot of the setup for this new generation of Doctor Who is all set up in 9. So
yeah, it can be cheesy and corny, but there's you don't get Jack, and you don't get Rose, and
all the stuff with Rose and stuff. Yeah. So it's this generation of Doctor Who fans learning about what it means to be a Doctor Who fan.
Right.
And being a Doctor Who fan is you have to accept everything. And I don't mean like you have to be all encompassing, and you have to expect and be okay with anything's going to happen. And if anything's going to happen, that means you're going to lose your favorite Doctor. Your favorite companions are going to get taken by the Silence or the Angels or the Daleks or whoever, and you just have to be sad, but get over it, because in 5 minutes there'll be another. Well, okay, there was a year and a half we didn't have episodes, but there'll be another episode, and there'll be more stuff going on and that kind of thing. So, I really liking what's going on a scale of 1 to 5 TARDISes. Where would you put this one?
For this season?
Yes.
4.7, because I don't know what's coming. I don't want to give it a 5.
Right. I would probably put this in the 4.5, 4.7 range, and probably like this one and the last one are kind of right there neck and neck with the. We're only 5 episodes in, so, and I think they're doing 12 or 15. I should probably look that up. It's not a whole lot, so we're halfway there, probably.
Close.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Did you like this episode of Doctor Who? We obviously did. And you can get a hold of us. We're at the Pop Culture Cult on Facebook. We're Pop Culture Cult 1 on Instagram. And we're at Pop_Cult1. You can like this video. Please do. Leave us a comment of what you feel was actually the good or the bad about this episode. You can subscribe right here. And over here will be our last Doctor Who review. And you know what? No, I don't want to do that. You subscribe here, And this is the last full episode that we did, our weekly episode. And until next time, good night now.